Okay, yes. Now hit present.
Okay, it's
and
loading. Okay.
Perfect.
So hi everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm a journalism lecturer at NTU. I was planning to show this video, but somehow I think the audio doesn't work. Let me just try. Do you guys hear something?
Nope, no sound.
No. Okay, so we'll just go skip to the next slide. So on the left here is a picture of the News Media Lab venue. It's one of our classrooms at NTU where we teach practicums. It's a simulated newsroom, and it's where I conduct the News Media Lab class. So this is this is an interdisciplinary and collaborative class where we bring together students from different schools across NTU. So we have student journalists, designers, and developers coming together to work with news clients to come up with new prototypes, new products for their news clients based on their users' needs. So we launched this class in 2019, and we are wrapping up a second run. So over a 13-week program, the students embark on a design thinking process to work with their news clients and doing user research to create a prototype that meets and addresses the user needs. Each group is also assigned to an industry mentor, and we've had, industry mentors from Red Hat, Facebook, and Splice Media. So Alan and Richard have also worked with my students on their projects, and we've also have collaborators from the industry. We have had Kate Burdo being a mentor, Irene and Sheena. They've been super helpful with the design thinking process as well. And some of the news clients that we work with include Today, the Straits Times, the New Paper, the Business Times. These are just some examples of the newsrooms we work with. So the students that are part of this class, they are student developers, designers, and journalists. So they come from the comms school where I teach journalism. They also come from the art, design, and media school. So for the faculty-wise supporting this class, I work with Joan Kelly, who is a lecturer at the Art, Design, and Media School. And she works with the students too on UI, UX issues when it comes to the prototyping. So it's been an amazing experience. So it has taken a lot of different stakeholders to make News Media Lab work. And at the center of it, we work very closely with the users, and we're very excited, about the students creating products for their generation of readers and audience. So, yeah. So about the process, we see the News Media Lab very much like an innovation lab, and as an external user lab, innovation lab that helps the newsroom come up with these different types of prototypes. So in the industry, we have. Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm breaking up.
Nope, we can hear you. You're
okay. Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, all right. So there are two types of, broadly, there are two types of innovation labs that I see in the industry. We have innovation labs that are part of newsrooms and innovation labs that are external to the newsrooms. So the News Media Lab class that I work with is very much an external innovation lab. And I think that, and that brings a lot of value to the development of new products, because the students come without any legacy issues. They also come with very fresh perspectives from their age group of users. So at the beginning of the 13-week semester, what happens is the students spend about 2 to 3 weeks going deep with user research. And this is done through focus groups, online surveys, as well as one-on-one interviews. And from that user research, what happens is they come up with their problem statements for the news clients' newsroom and their users, sorry. And from there, they reframe the problem statement into a design challenge, which then, they would use that as a starting point for the Google Design Sprint, which is the framework that we use throughout the 13-week semester. And as part of the design sprint, the design sprint that we use is the Google Sprint, and that's a 5-day sprint. But for the purpose of this 13-week semester, what I've done is I've adapted the Google Sprint into a 13-week program. So we break it up into different bite-sized kinds of tasks, and the students will work towards different stages of prototyping, iterating, and user testing as well. So for our user testing at NTU, we have access to UX labs. And what the students will essentially do is use these user labs, or will bring in the users to these UX labs, just like the photograph that you see here. So they will bring the users and let the users interact with the prototypes that they've come up with, and they will be taking down notes and asking them to use the prototypes that they've come up with, and they'll be taking down non-verbal cues as to how the interaction is done, and from there they will use that as feedback to iterate again and develop the prototypes. At the end of the semester, the students will then have a demo day, and on demo day we have a panel of judges from the industry as well as faculty, and they will judge the students' pitches based on categories of relevance, application, functionality, as well as the delivery of the prototypes. And at the end, the students will also put up the prototypes on GitHub, so that we are bringing these prototypes also to the ecosystem, and anyone can use these prototypes if they wish to. So that's essentially the process that we go through during the 13 weeks. So it's still very much a work in progress. This is our second run this semester, and we're wrapping it up in a couple of weeks. But I have a couple of insights and challenges I'd like to share, and I've categorized them into three categories: people, process, and partnerships. What I found was that well, a lot of my students from the outset, they told me that they're very excited to be working on a product and prototyping class in the comm school. So the excitement was, from the outset, we knew that. But what was a huge bonus was how they were super engaged and very creative throughout the entire 13-week process. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, this is a place where it's safe for them to experiment and explore and fail in their earlier iterations of the prototype. It's an ungraded practicum, so they are encouraged to test and to pivot. So I think that's one big key thing that we learned here. And maybe this is not so, I don't know, in newsrooms, a lot of there might be less room for that kind of experimentation or that tolerance for failure. So for students, they are free to explore. Also, students can play an important role in co-creating news media tools, and this is something that we really became more convicted in as we went along developing this program. We found that students brought to the table fresh perspectives, and also they came without any legacy issues. So they were able to just focus on addressing the user needs, right, and creating a prototype for the users. And I feel that that's something that has been really helpful and useful to our newsrooms partners as well. So I think one other positive about that is, we are also training the next wave of say new people who will be working in newsroom. So we hope that by cultivating this prototype and product mindset, these students who will go on to graduate and work in the newsrooms would then be able to work in a newsroom with the understanding of what design thinking is, what user needs are when it comes to creating news products. So one other thing about people is we realized that, when Joan and I started this class, it was just her and me working with the students. What we really need and are lacking in, and we find very challenging, is finding a programmer mentor or a faculty who will be able to guide the student developers. So this is very much a work in progress, and we hope to really fill this gap in the coming iterations of the class. So in terms of process, we realized that there are really no shortcuts when it comes to user research. And this was played out, especially in the second run of this class, where we focused more on user research, and we saw how positive that was in the impact of understanding what the problem statement and eventually the design challenge was for our news clients. And that really underlines the importance of going deep with user research before even coming up with the prototypes. Another thing of an insight that we learned was that creative tension. Going through a design sprint, there's a lot of creative tension. There's a lot of user feedback coming at you and different ideas in the ideating stage of the design sprint. So then how do you manage all of that information that's coming at you? So what we realized that in the first run of the class of the News Media Lab practicum last year, students were at loss as to how they should make sense of the feedback and the different ideas that were bringing them towards pulling them in all sorts of directions. So what we did better this time was to come up with filters to help them make sense of the feedback and the ideas, like asking them, what are you solving for? Going back to the design challenge, and also doing the scoping of the curriculum in a tighter fashion at the beginning. So this semester, what we did differently was to create was to come up with a theme for the students. The theme was just to focus on reader engagement through innovative storytelling tools, and that really helped with making sense of the feedback and giving them a better grounding as to what they are solving for. One of the challenges that we face, or not challenges, one of the things that we're still working at is what do we do with these prototypes beyond the 13 weeks? Because right now we put these prototypes on GitHub. So if you go to our GitHub page, it's News Media Lab, and you'll see the prototypes of the first run that we did, and there are 3 prototypes there. The students created things like a Telegram news bot and a Chrome extension here. So this is the new focus. The new focus was the winning team. Their news client was the new paper, and they created this because they researched their users and felt that the users were saying that they were overwhelmed by all kinds of news notifications and updates and news that were not really relevant to them, and they wanted to be able to have more autonomy of how they were being given the news. So by way of creating 3 news bulletins sent to the user through the Chrome extension, this was a good way to cut through the clutter and the noise, say of the news site. So this was the new focus. So what we realized that we put these prototypes up on GitHub, and nothing much happened beyond that. And what we really want to do differently this time is to think of a different way of how we can maybe help the students bring these prototypes to market, so that everyone in the ecosystem can get access to it, can get access to a more developed prototype. So maybe what we're thinking is maybe trying to get some funds or grants to get developers outside of the school, or to get a full-time programmer perhaps, to build on these products so that they can be more fully fleshed out. Okay, so in terms of partnerships, we are hoping that we can build more long-term partnerships in terms of mentors, news clients, collaborators, and sponsorships. Because planning for the class year on year, it doesn't allow us to make any long-term plans. We're hoping that if we can, say, bring in someone or a partner who is able to, say, commit to a 3-year plan to help us build this out a little bit more, that's something that we're hoping to achieve in the coming sessions of News Media Lab. So, so it's very much a work in progress, and we are hoping that we can get more people from the ecosystem, different stakeholders coming in to connect with us, to work with us in different ways, either as a mentor, as a visiting programmer, or just in other ways, like maybe doing some sorts of research and any other kinds of collaboration. So if you're interested in working with us at the News Media Lab in these ways, please connect with me, and that's my email address and my contact details. All right, so thank you, Alan and Richard.
Thank you. That is excellent. If you want to, Jessica, if you want to put your email address into the chat, that'd be great. I hope you get a lot of people writing in.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you're doing. I think it's amazing. Let's see if we can quickly pick up a couple of questions. Let me see. Where do we? Abdul Mohsen, I see some universities invest and make more money, make more programs in PR and corporate communications rather than journalism. How does that look like in Singapore, since it's a business hub? That's a great question.
So I didn't get that question. Let me see.
So I think what he's basically trying to say is very often you find a lot of universities shifting toward PR and corporate comms because they're just more, in more demand, right, than journalism. Is that the same, you would say, in Singapore?
In terms of education, we in terms of journalism education at NTU, we don't have like a VR lab for training our students, and but as we know, I mean, there's some newsrooms who are already doing that, but we don't have any VR journalism classes.
Cool. We've got also.
Sorry, can I just jump in, Jessica?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you want to stop presenting?
Oh,
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, just stop presenting so we can. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Hang on.
Thanks.
Okay.
The stop sharing button at the bottom. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sheila in Cambodia says the lab is super cool, but I guess it would be difficult for some J schools to prototype, especially if they are only good on the journalism education part of it. Do you agree?
Right. Yeah. So one, it's difficult because as a comm school, well, I only can speak on behalf of what I know, what we're doing at my school. So as a comm school, we have different tracks that we teach, and journalism is being one of them, right? So we don't have enough resources to go full out just on building prototypes. So yeah, so our resources are limited. So we can't be. We have some core subjects that we need to teach: journalism, PR, advertising, and marketing.
Cool. All right. So one final question.
Sorry, could I just remind everybody, just a quick housekeeping note, if you could mute yourself while the speaker is speaking. Thank you, guys.
Fantastic. One quick last one from Annie Lees. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Thank you for this presentation. Very inspiring. Question: how do the news clients find you, or are you approaching them directly?
right now we are approaching them directly. But as of this particular hangout meeting, I mean, we're hoping that some of them might approach us too. So we're open to working with different newsrooms. Right now, we're just working with Singapore-based newsrooms. So we are also open to reaching out to regional newsrooms if if there's a way to work remotely with one another. I think that shouldn't be an issue.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jessica. I really appreciated this. I love the work that you're doing. Big fan.
Sorry, I'm having some technical issues with the call, so I can't really hear well. So sorry if I didn't get some of those earlier questions. And so if anybody else has more questions for me, just drop me an email or drop me an email or give me a call, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions.
Jessica, if you could pop your email in the chat, that'd be awesome. I know that Corinne and one more person has a question, so if you can jump into the chat and answer those, if you like. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks.